Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be here today. My name is Shannon Carpenter, and I am the program director and founder of the Heart of Homeschooling program, where we like to say, teach from the heart, learn from home. The reason why I'm so excited today is because today marks the day that we start a new series, Simple Steps to Homeschooling Success. Each segment in this series will tackle a very important topic to homeschooling, and today we are tackling the first one, how to start. So first we need to talk about how. How do you homeschool legally? Since I live in California, I'm going to be talking about that state specifically, but you should know that every state has their own specific laws, and you very much need to do your research for your specific state. Now, I cover this a little bit more in my course, 7 Things Every Homeschooling Family Needs to Know. But for now, I'm going to talk about California. We are very blessed to live in this state, at least right now, as we have some of the most amazing options to let us homeschool our way. Before we get started, though, I want to tell you a little bit about me. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so here's a picture of my husband and I and my 4 little daughters, well, big daughters and little daughters, while we were at a recent trip to Disneyland. A little bit about me. I want to tell you that my passion is all about homeschooling. I've served and supported homeschooling families, including my own, for the past 20 years or so. I've also worked as a homeschooling support teacher, an administrator and principal, a charter writer, and many more hats that I've worn over the past 20 years. I was one of the original founders of Inspired Charter Schools North and just recently had a career path change and am now creating courses for teachers and parents to learn more about homeschooling. My courses are fully accredited through Fresno Pacific University and the University of San Diego. I'm a homeschooling mom to 7 amazing and unique children and have 3 adorable grandbabies. I'm also the vice president of the California Homeschool Parent Association and a doctoral candidate as well. I'm passionate about homeschooling and helping others on their journey. So let's get started on the topic of today. But first, I want to start with a favorite quote of mine. I love this quote because I truly believe every child is uniquely made. Every family is unique as well. The quote says, "The most important tip of all is to do what works for you. Each family is different, each family is unique, and no one tip or solution will work for everyone." I believe each person has a specific purpose, which means any type of learning or education should be personalized, and that individual person needs to have that individual education personalized just for them. More importantly, what works for one person or one family might not or might work for the next person. No one knows your children better than you do as their parents, so you're the best person to decide what is best for them. Regarding your homeschool options, our topic today, you need to choose based on what is best for your child, your family, and you. So today, like I talked about, we're going to be talking about homeschooling options. Decide what option you will choose to legally homeschool. So basically, what are the options? In California and in most states, there are 2 basic options, and then, shall we say, sub-options under each of the 2 main options. I live in the foothills where there are centuries-old oak trees, the kind of trees you see in Little House on the Prairie episodes from the 80s. Gorgeous, beautiful, huge trees. I want you to picture 2 trees with branches. Tree number 1 is the public school tree, and there are just 2 branches coming off of it. Branch number 1 is to homeschool by enrolling in an independent study program or an ISP. And branch number 2 is enrolling in a non-classroom based charter school. Tree number 2 has 3 branches, and it represents the private school options. The first branch is the PSA branch, where your family can file a private school affidavit, or PSA. The second branch is the PSP, where you enroll under another PSA, like a private school, and it's called a private school satellite program. And the third branch is where you hire a teacher or a tutor to teach your children, or you can join families with the tutor in a pod school or micro school. This option, the pod school micro school, is a brand new option to homeschooling, and it's so amazing to me that these new and remorphed options are now forming. I love how people are now thinking outside the box to offer more options for education. If you go ahead and get a chance to look at these slides, each of these links will open up a new page so you can learn more about that topic. On this page, it shows the California Department of Education's information on how to find an independent study program or a charter school program. And then this link will take you to private school information on the HSLDA website, how to comply with California's homeschool law, and it goes into detail with all of the different options that we're talking about today. Let's take a closer look at tree number 1, the public school option. Homeschooling with a public school option has 2 branches. Branch number 1 is the traditional branch, the ISP, or the Independent Study Program. It has been around for a very, very long time. These programs have been around really probably, I would say, more like 30 to 40 years or even longer, because these programs were created from a need when a child perhaps had mono or some other type of special need, and they couldn't attend the regular brick and mortar school. Whatever was going on in their life disqualified them to have traditional classroom experience. So these kiddos needed to be homeschooled, but with the teacher oversight through an independent study program. Those programs still exist today, and they have kind of morphed into something more like a homeschool program. They're much more homeschool friendly. However, please keep in mind that most of these independent study programs still have a traditional foundation with a lot of teacher oversight. Option number 2, or branch number 2, is that of a non-classroom based charter school. So I just want to give you a little bit of background regarding charter schools. In 1992, the charter school law was passed originally in the state of Minnesota. And after that, the rest of the states in the United States began to adopt variations of that first charter school law, allowing for the long sought after parent choice in education. Let's rewind a couple hundred years though. Since really the beginning of time, thousands of years ago, parents have homeschooled their kids. In fact, many famous Americans were homeschooled, such as George Washington and as many as 13 other presidents. More modern famous homeschoolers include Tim Tebow, Justin Bieber, and Bethany Hamilton. It was a normal way of life everywhere in one form or another up until about the Industrial Revolution. Or the mid-1800s. Then everything changed. The family began living more at a faster pace. People began becoming more focused on making more money. And the modern age just caused families to think more about how are we going to fit homeschooling into our life. And so fathers worked longer hours, mothers began to work as well, and the need for children to be cared for and educated outside the home became necessary as our world changed. But then our conservative culture also began to change, and around the 1970s, parents began to question what was actually being taught in these public school classrooms while they were away at work. All of a sudden, there was a movement questioning whether our trusted government officials really did know what was best for our children, who we birthed, worked, toiled, and sacrificed for. The homeschool movement of the 70s began, and parents were choosing not to send their children to the brick and mortar school anymore. They wanted to homeschool. Private schools also became very popular during the 70s and 80s as another option to public schools, until finally the charter law was passed in 1992, as I mentioned before. Then other states followed, and now homeschooling is legal in one form or another in all 50 states. In California, where I live, there are many non-classroom-based charters. Non-classroom-based charters offer a portion of the state funding for parents to use with their assigned teacher approval to purchase secular curriculum, materials, classes, and many other things. This is a huge help, especially since many homeschooling families are on a single income. Charters also provide teacher support and usually need to meet face-to-face or virtually every 20 school days or so to look over completed assignments, the education plan, and go over any needed orders. Charters also provide wonderful opportunities for families to be a part of a community through field trips, activities, and other enrichment opportunities, such as vendor classes. In California, a student must live in the charter's authorized county or a contiguous county according to the law. If you go to the links here, it will take you to another page showing you more information. This one in particular will show you more information about how to find an independent study program. And this one here will take you to a website where you can locate a charter school in the county or contiguous county where you live. Now, because of a recent bill, SB 98, many of the non-classroom based charters are no longer able to enroll students and have closed enrollment. This is very sad to me because it now means that many parents who would have before wanted to begin homeschooling in a charter school can no longer receive the support, enrichment, and community opportunities that a charter might provide. However, as I explained, charters only began in 1992. So people have been homeschooling for centuries before. So I just want to encourage you, and don't worry if you wanted to enroll in a charter and can no longer find one that will allow you to enroll, you can still homeschool. You can still do whatever you want to do and find support through other ways. How are you going to do it? The second tree, through a private school option. In California and many of our other states, when parents choose to homeschool and can't or don't want to enroll in a public school option, they can file what's called a private school affidavit or a PSA. Basically, this means you are your own private school. Your family is a private school. However, just like larger private schools, you will not receive any public tax dollar funding. So you will need to budget. All of your expenses will have to be paid for by your family. But this will also provide you with freedom and opportunities that maybe you wouldn't get if you were enrolled in a public school. However, because you're not enrolled in a public school, you will not receive that credentialed teacher support that you might in a charter or an ISP, and you will not have any oversight of the school. So I want to talk a little bit more about PSAs. Here is a link, and it will take you to a page talking specifically about how to file a PSA or a private school affidavit. Filing a PSA means you are on your own. You don't receive funding, as I said before. And just a little tip, you want to be sure to file between October 1st and October 15th for the upcoming school year. If you don't, it's not that big of a deal. You can file throughout the rest of the school year. This is just the filing preferred range of dates that the state requires. So now I want to go ahead and watch this quick video.
Jackie from Homeschool Hangout. It is time once again for new and old homeschoolers alike for my annual PSA. I know it's summer. You've decided you're going to homeschool your child and you want to start setting up your year. Do I pull them out now? Do I hold on? What do I need to do? Oh, there's an affidavit to file with the state of California. Don't file it. Just don't. Don't look at it. Don't file it until October 1st. Why? They literally changed the affidavit from for the 2019-20 school year to the 2020-21 school year. No, it doesn't mean that your kid needs to stay in public school or a charter school or a private school until October. It's just when they start collecting their paperwork. It's like filing your taxes. There's a deadline. There's times when they accept it. You just wait. And you are totally legal to be homeschooling because you say you're homeschooling. You just tell the public schools who ask you any questions that you are now homeschooling. That's it. Seriously, that's it. Don't fight. I know you want to. I know you want to get a jump on your year. Don't do it. Resist the temptation to try and be organized this time. I know I don't advocate that often, but just breathe. You can start putting together your curriculum. You can start school. I always start school in July. I think it's going to be like 104 here today, and we're in June. So we do school all summer because it's too hot to do anything else. That doesn't matter. Just don't file the affidavit. You're fine. You're fine. I promise. Breathe. Uh, Make sure you subscribe, because when that affidavit comes out, I will be doing a walkthrough with you like I do every year. And subscribe so you can see all my videos on homeschooling, some specifically in California, some just generally. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Okay, so hopefully you get the point. You want to make sure that you do not file for your PSA until October 1st through the 15th. And again, if you hit those dates and you're still not sure you want to do the PSA route, it's okay. You can still file the PSA later after those dates. That's just the window that the state of California really wants you to go ahead and file. So the other link there that I have is a link to show you what the private school affidavit information page looks like on the California Department of Education. And there's just some other links there that will give you some more information that will help you to fill out that form. Now, if this sounds really overwhelming to you and like way too much information or way too much responsibility, you can go the PSP route, pardon me, the second branch. Basically, you don't have to file a PSA, but instead you enroll in someone else's private school or PSA. You pay maybe $50 or $100 or more per year, and another parent or parent teacher then keeps all of your records for you and any samples or any report cards that are made, and you are still your child's teacher with all of the freedom of a PSA, but less responsibility. Many PSPs also have enrichment, co-ops, classes, etc. attached to their program, depending on how big they are and where they're located. Finally, if a PSA or PSP doesn't fit your needs, then you can do the third choice, which is to hire a credentialed teacher to either tutor your kiddos privately or in a small group like we talked about before with other homeschooling families called a pod school or micro school. Oops, let me go back to that slide. So here at the bottom, number 3, there's some links where you can find more information about the private tutor option, pod schools, or micro schools. It's really exciting that we have all these options. So this slide right here just shows you some more information regarding private school options in California and what the law says. This is a quick overview. And if you wanted some more information that this slide has on the HSLD website, over here in the bottom right-hand corner is the link that will take you to this live page, because these links right here are not live. But basically, I wanted to point out this right here. You are not required to even enroll in a public school or private school until your child is actually 6 years old. So if you have a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old and you were thinking, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? The charter schools are not enrolling and I don't want to do a PSA. You don't even need to do anything, because California law says you do not even need to worry about enrolling your child until they are 6 years old. So that was kind of exciting. The other really interesting thing is under the private school option in choice 1, the PSA, or choice 2, the PSP, you do not need a credential or any type of teacher qualification to do that. So you can file your PSA or enroll in a PSP, and you don't need to worry about that you don't have a teaching credential or anything like that. Additionally, there are no assessment requirements, so you don't have to take the annual assessment that's usually required with a charter school or an ISP, and there's no immunization requirements either because you're your own private school. So that's pretty exciting. And then, as I mentioned before, some families choose the private school option, PSA, PSP, or a private tutor, because whether or not they could enroll in a charter school or an ISP. Why do you think a family would choose the private school option, the private school oak tree, even if they could enroll in a charter school? And the reason is freedom. There are a lot of freedom things that happen, things that cause us to be able to choose what we want to choose and not feel like somebody's over us, like a teacher or a school or the government telling us what we should do or what they think is best for our own children. And there's a lot of families that feel that that is really important to them. So I wanted to show you this quick video describing exactly what I'm talking about.
If you ask 100 people what freedom means, you're likely to get 100 different answers. You have to fill in the blanks, and that's really the beauty of it. We all have the freedom to do what we believe is best for our family and what's best for our children. As a military spouse and parent of 9 children, having that flexibility to know that I can say, okay, how is this child learning and what can I change to help her learn better is just incredible. It doesn't have to be the same as what my other children are doing or the other families in our homeschool group. I can give each of my children exactly what they need in order to thrive. The freedom to pursue our own paths as families and as people can allow us to come together and sort of compare notes, to really learn from each other. On a regular basis, my children and I are interacting with people who are different from us in terms of how we think and live, whether it's in our neighborhood, volunteering in the community, or at youth group. And from these experiences, I think we can all walk away as better learners and better people. I think freedom matters not only because of what it is, but also because of what we can do with it. The freedom we have in homeschooling allows us to give our children some truly amazing experiences. So for my family, it's really been life changing.
Okay, so after you decide how you are going to homeschool, either through public or private options, I recommend talking it over as a family, praying about it, talking about it more until you really feel that your decision is what's best for your children and for your family. You'll need to decide how your children are going to learn. And you're going to have to decide on whether you're going to use a curriculum, whether you're going to create your own thing, whether you're going to unschool. You need to look at all the choices and decide what is best for each of your children and for your family as far as how they're going to learn and what they're going to learn. Whatever you do, you need to have some sort of plan. Be sure to watch my next video in this series explaining how to choose your curriculum and make a plan for the year and each day. Until then, teach from the heart, learn from home.